We're going to a new computer animation tutorial, and what we're going to be working on today is animating a Halloween card and a Halloween e-card. So there you go, my little example kind of running through here. We have some rain clouds and thunder lightning going on, and then this kind of haunted house silhouette, and we zoom in and see the door open and boo, ghost pops out. So a couple simple techniques we're going to be going over here in this particular tutorial is the drawing of this haunted house silhouette, the door opening, and having the ghost pop out and add some text into this little zoom camera effect. The rain animation with the rain cloud and thunder and lightning is going to be a separate tutorial video and separate assignment. So what we'll do to get started here is we will go File, New, and create a new ActionScript 3 file. What we will do is start by drawing some basic shapes to make this haunted house. And so we're going to start with black, use our rectangle tool, make sure that there's no outline here for your stroke, and we just want to work with just basic shapes. So what we'll do is start with kind of a rectangular shape for kind of the base of the house, and then above that we'll draw kind of another shape that's going to be the roof of the house, but we'll leave a little space in between so that we can play around with that just a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and kind of tweak these edges just a little bit in, and then also kind of pull the bottom part out so it flares out just a little bit more. And then I'll bring that shape down and kind of combine those together, because remember, whenever you layer over shapes over one another in Adobe Animate, it's going to combine them into one shape. So next here I'm going to make kind of the three tower shapes. I'll go ahead and just overlap those. Smaller ones on the side and then a bigger one in the middle. And there we go. And then I'm going to use my Polystar tool to make the triangles for the peaks of these. So when you click on your Polystar tool, over on the side bar in your properties, you need to go to Options and make your sides to 3 so that you get three-sided triangle to come. So I'm going to click and drag, and it's going to make a nice little equilateral triangle for me. And I'll make that a little bit smaller. This is going to fit over the side one, and I'll do another one over on this side, over here, and I'll move these into position afterwards. And then a big one for the middle. Let's see. That probably looks like that'll work. So again, just going to kind of take these, click and drag them down onto these kind of peaks here to make these sort of like arrow looking shapes for kind of the different steeples of the house, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and do a little more editing. Again, I'm going to take each one of these kind of shapes here, and I'm going to pull each one in just using my selection arrow, my selection tool. Hover over the side of that line and just kind of bend and pull all these in, so you get a little more of that accentuated kind of shape that we're looking for in kind of an old wonky-ish house, right? So I'm just pulling all these corners in a little bit. Again, just clicking, dragging when your mouse is over that side edge. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I might go ahead and do kind of the same thing with the sides of the house as well. Maybe even bring these to both the side parts out just a little bit more. Alright, there we go. So that's looking pretty good for this whole house shape, and it should all be one shape here. I can double click on where it says layer 1 here, and I'll put, call this house. And so next what we're going to do is we're going to make the window shapes, and what we're going to use for that again is our rectangular shape tool, and we're going to go down and select white here. I'm going to go to my zoom tool and zoom in a little bit on these sections so that I have a little bit better view here of what I'm doing. And I'm going to go ahead and take this again and make sure you have no stroke color, just the fill color of white, and I'm going to make 4 little squares right here. They don't have to be perfectly all the same size or anything like that. Actually, if there's a little variety, it'll give a little better kind of style to your actual drawing. And so what I can do here is I'm just going to select these, select one, and then hold Shift and click on another one, and still holding Shift, click on another one, and the last one. And what I can do is hold down my Option key, my Alt key, or my Option key, and then just click and drag those, and I'm going to get my 4 other ones to go over here, and do the same thing again. Hold Option and click and drag those over to this steeple over here. These ones though, I'm going to hold Shift again and select all those, and I'm going to make them a little bit bigger by using my free transform tool. So I'm going to enlarge that just a little bit. Looks like it's doing something funny with my shapes in here. Not sure what that's all about. Try and make it a little bit smaller. Let's see. Maybe I'll just do that part, this part again, actually. Gotta go back to my selection arrow. Let's see. It doesn't seem to want to select these now. This is weird. Odd little thing going on here. Oh, you know what? Maybe what happened is I did delete those, and so they aren't actually there. Okay, so instead here, let's see, I might have to back up a second. I'm going to undo a few steps here. Alright, so actually, yeah, let's just undo all the way back there. I'm going to just take this shape over here again. I saw those are highlighted. Bring them over, click off the side. I'm just going to draw these 4 windows in this space a little bit bigger. And we're going to go with that. Alright, nice. So now I'm going to go back to my zoom out tool here, hold Option and zoom out a little bit. I can take these windows again and use them in another spot. So I'm going to hold Shift, click on all 4 of these window shapes. Holding down the Option key, I'm going to click and drag and bring this window down over here. And then I'm going to hold the Option key again, click and drag and bring those windows over there. So zooming out now, we got pretty good housework going over here. What I'm going to do is take this whole thing now, okay, and take my free transform tool and just shrink it down a little bit. Alright, so, and kind of put it off a little bit off to the side here. That looks pretty good. What I'll also put on this layer is kind of a hill for the ground. What I'm going to make sure I do, and hit undo, is make this fill color for this oval black and leave the stroke color as nothing. Now I'm going to have to stretch this out a little bit because I can see it misses the corners here. So I'm just going to take this shape again. Oops. So I'm going to want to back up a step and let's try this again because I don't, if I'm going to, yeah, there we go. That works. So for this instance, I think it's okay to keep all this, the house and the ground, all on one layer. We're not going to do too much with this house. It's really just kind of a background image. So anyways, now what we need to do is we are going to add another layer in here, and that's going to be for our door, the animation of the door actually opening. So let's go ahead and actually let's open up some frames here. Let's make this whole animation open up to, let's say, 70 frames. Just click hold and then hit F5 to open up those frames. So we have some frames of animation here where we can work. Now let's say we have a little bit of pause, and then let's say somewhere around this 30th frame or so, I think is where we'll have our door open. If we're going at 24 frames a second, I'll go back to my other example. Yeah, that's where I was working at. It was about 30 frames. So we'll go here and we'll hit F6 to put in a keyframe. On this actual spot is where I want to draw my door. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I'm going to make it a color that's kind of recognizable so that the door kind of stands out a little bit. Maybe with this one I'll make it like an orange instead. On the last one I made it more of a lime green kind of color. You can really make this door any color you want. I might make this one something different this time, actually, instead. Maybe I'll go with like a purple. All right, so my rectangle tool, this 30th frame selected. I'm going to go ahead and actually, rather, that's where we want the animation to begin. So I'm actually going to right click on this and clear that keyframe. But we do want this door to be present throughout the whole timeline. So on this first frame here is where we'll actually draw the door in. Okay, so door is here. I might just stretch that a tad bit wider and move it over just a little bit. Cool. So door is in place. What I will do now is I want to go to that 30th frame, hit F6 for a keyframe there, and let's say that it takes 10 frames for our door to open up. Let me just check here. Okay, I think that's what I was thinking. Second guessing that. I would make that a little bit longer. So we'll make it about 20 frames for that door to open all the way. That way it's almost a full second because we're working at 24 frames a second right now. That'll make it almost a full second that it takes for that door to open up. So on this 50th frame now, we have our 30th frame, the door is flat. 50th frame now, we're going to use that same trick we used with shape tweens to get this door to kind of open up. So what we want to actually do is take the, I believe it's distort option, and if I hold down the option key and click and drag, or just click and drag these points, we want to extend this shape a little bit up on both the top and bottom, and then take this middle point and bring this in. And that's the shape of kind of the door being open that we want to create. And so if we now right click in here and we go to create shape tween, we'll see that shape kind of change that creates the illusion of the door opening up, right? So what we need to do is we need to make an opening behind this door though, so we can have something pop out just like the ghost does in mine. So I'm going to take this shape with it selected. I'm going to hit Command C, or you can go to Edit and Copy, and I'm going to go ahead and make it this particular one invisible. I'm going to go onto this layer, and then I'm going to go Edit and Paste in Place. Now I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to click off to the side here. Now click on it and hit Delete. Now what that did was it left an open space behind where this door used to be. Now if I make my door visible again, this one is still here on this layer, but now you'll see if I scroll through my animation, it opens, and now there's an opening space behind it where I can hide something behind this building and have it pop into the doorway. Okay, so that's what I'm going to add next, and for this next part, let's call this Boo. I'm actually going to go ahead and go to my other animation and just go ahead and copy this Boo guy out of this particular animation and copy him in. You can use any, draw any graphic that you would like to. So I think if I go ahead here, I can copy this graphic by right-clicking on it in this library. And so if you have a graphic you had in another animation that you want to use, you can use that same technique. So I have this guy here. He's obviously a little too large for what I need him for right now. So I'm going to shrink him down so that he'll be able to fit behind this wall right here. I could make him come out from the other side as well, but I'll go with this side, I think. Keep it consistent with my other animation. So I'm just making him fit in this space right now. This layer is on the top though, so what I will need to do is drag this layer down below, and now you can't see him there, right? That might make it a little challenging to work on, but I think we can make do. So if I make this the house kind of invisible, I can see that he is hiding behind that, right? So what I want to have happen here is this door is going to swing open And then right about where that ends, is I want him to pop out. So I'm going to hit right here underneath the 50th frame. I'm going to hit F6 to create a new keyframe, and I'll just go like 5 frames in. And I'm going to hit F6 again, and you can see that since I've created a keyframe and I'm on the frame that he is on, I do have him selected. So I'm just going to kind of nudge him over by pressing the keys on my keyboard and kind of move him over with the arrow key and make him pop out. And then simply right click in between here and create a classic tween so that the door opens and he pops in, right? Door opens and boom. Okay, and so the last thing I really want to do in this particular tutorial is use the camera zoom effect. That is really kind of something nice and new to Adobe Animate that is a new feature that we just got this year, and so really excited about it because it makes some things easier. A simple camera zoom that used to be something really challenging to pull off. So we have our camera tool right here next to your hand and zoom tool. If we hit that camera tool, you'll see that it creates a new layer in your timeline. And so what we want to do is I'm going to create a new keyframe right about when this door starts to open. Okay. Right about when the door starts to open is when I want the zoom to start. We're going to zoom in on this door actually opening. And then once the door opens, we'll put another keyframe there, and that's when we'll be at our zoomed in point. Okay, so just going back and comparing here, I think that, okay, so I had it going a little bit past that in my original example. And so maybe I will keep that consistent here. So I'm going to take this frame and just move it right down to the end, right when the boo comes out, right? So what I'm going to do is, we're zoomed out. Now at the 55th frame, what we're going to do is I'm just going to take this dot and move it over to the right, and that's going to zoom us in on our scene here. Now I'm going to move this over a little bit more and then zoom him in, because I want to get almost right up on this doorway. Nice. I think that works pretty good. Alright, so still kind of seeing some of the house, but seeing the doorway. So here at this point we're here, and then we're going to be there. And all we could do is we're going to just create another classic tween in between those 2 points. So what we should have now, if I run this as a test, is we have our house, zooms in, the door opens, and boom, right? So there we go with pretty much everything. The last thing that I wanted to make sure we go over actually is using your type tool to add your message in. So at this last frame, right after this door opens, we're going to hit F6 for a new keyframe and use our type tool. We're going to go ahead and click and drag to make a text box here. Type in Happy Halloween! Exclamation point. If we want this box to be bigger, so for instance it doesn't quite fit on 2 lines, I'm just going to go ahead and drag that over. Now I'm going to adjust it to make sure that it fits here in the stage. And if I want to change anything, properties are over in our properties bar. Okay, so if you have your type selected, you can change your color, you can change your fonts in the font menu over here. You have previews of what they look like on the side here. Let's see if I can find something kind of spooky-ish really quick. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. That's kind of a cool one. Nice. So we'll go with that. Maybe move it down just a little bit. And voila. We'll just play this back one more time. And as I said, we do probably want to add some frames in the end here. Maybe I'll just go to 100, click drag down, and hit F5. So this all stays around a little longer so we can see that message for a little bit longer. But in another tutorial, we'll go over how to add the rain and rain clouds and kind of thunder coming down. But here's the good beginning to our Halloween e-card.